below. This lava lake has dropped more than 700 feet, and geologists say if the lava lake drops below the water table, that could mix water with lava and gas, potentially causing a more violent eruption of steam.
I have never seen anything like this today. It was extremely exciting and super dramatic. That plume cloud just jetted up. It darkened the sky out towards the southwest rift zone.
It drained below the water table. As the lava lake lowered, you get rocks falling in from the sides, creating kind of a plug. Water is mixing. You have steam. It's being plugged. The pressure builds, and ultimately the pressure builds great enough that it blasts up through that. So this is our concern if the lava lake continues to drop and goes below water table.
Well, very exciting, and you kind of have to just sit back and wait. You don't know when it's going to happen or if it's going to happen, but you just let Mother Nature do its thing.
And he's absolutely right. People have been here all day watching this. Now, the scientists are closely monitoring this activity at the crater and say that today's explosions were very rare. They do say if there is any indication of that more rare steam explosion that goes up into the air, they say they will shut down the park. Right now, the park is open for visitors, and I can tell you, Kiahi and Lynn, everyone is so happy with this site. Reporting live from Hale Ma'uma'u Crater, I'm Mahialani Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
Yeah, serious stuff and beautiful too. Mahialani, thank you. Officials have been going door to door on Ala'ili Street in Puna. It's already part of the mandatory evacuation area, but new cracks have been opening up in that area.
The latest vent to open sent families fleeing from that area. This is video from Lani Puna Gardens residents who had to pack up their belongings and leave their home behind. They were ordered to evacuate as sulfur dioxide filled the air.
First we heard the siren, then they personally came to each house and said evacuate, evacuate, evacuate.
The street was alive with emergency vehicles, and we were told nobody was being let in. That's it.
Officials are closely monitoring the air quality, but families are still waiting and watching for their next opportunity to return home.
Hawaii Electric light crews are monitoring equipment in Leilani Estates and Lani Puna Gardens as the ground shifts and new fissures open. At least 50 poles are damaged. Line crews replaced one downed pole today. They're shutting down some circuits threatened or damaged by the flow. 300 customers have been without power since the eruption began last Thursday. Guy Hagi here now with our first forecast.
That's right, Kiahi. The breezy trade winds continue, at least from Maui to Kauai, so the air quality is good there. But lighter winds are actually due back tomorrow all the way through Friday, and that might lead up to some buildup of locally produced haze, not really much fog. In fact, the fog models, they show that fog plume staying to our south. The winds aren't expected to be strong enough to disperse the fog up the island chain, but the unhealthy situation continues for the Big Island. The elevated sulfur dioxide emissions will continue to flow over those communities downwind of the eruptions. The highest concentrations are in red, so even though the winds will be light through Friday, fog shouldn't be a problem for most of us, although you can see it's continued to be a problem for the Big Island. I'll have the rest of the forecast coming up in a couple of minutes.
Thanks, Guy, and stay with us for complete coverage on the Kilauea eruption. You'll find slideshows, live updates, and emergency info on our website, hawaiinewsnow.com. You can also get updates on the go with our free news app, and by following us on our social media platforms. Just search Hawaii News Now.
Still ahead, a new lawsuit over a deadly railing collapse at Hawaii's largest shopping center. Plus this.
I think this community has really needed the support for a long time.
A free urgent care clinic is on the verge of opening in Chinatown.
The trials for former police chief Louis Kealoha and his prosecutor wife Catherine are being delayed even more. The first trial for the financial fraud charges will be in November. Their second trial will be in March of 2019. That trial will include police officers accused of framing a Kealoha relative for a crime he did not commit.
The families of two men who fell through a railing at Ala Moana Center are now suing the property owner. In October 2016, Nicholas Freitas died when the railing collapsed on the third level of the center's Malka wing. He fell several stories along with his best friend, McCroy Nagato Jr. Nagato survived but suffered brain damage and paralysis. The family's attorney says General Growth Properties ignored contractors' concerns about the rusted railings for years.
Our investigation concluded that General Growth never did anything regarding this. No physical evidence at all of any repairs having been performed on the falling railing at any time since it was constructed back in 1966.
The attorney says Nagato is still learning to speak and read again, and with round-the-clock care required, his medical bills have reached about $1.5 million. No comment yet from General Growth, but the property did undergo a structural evaluation and repairs after the incident.
Only on Hawaii News Now, Honolulu police are on the verge of launching a free urgent care clinic in Chinatown for the homeless. The pilot project combines health care with an offer of housing. Allison Blair reports.
The clinic won't be fully operational until June, but word is already getting out about it. Over the past month, 2 volunteer doctors have already treated more than 100 patients, several of whom are now in shelter or detox. For years, the building next to the HPD substation in Chinatown is set vacant until last month when signs advertising free medical care appeared in the window.
It's a walk-in clinic, so they need to just show up and we'll take care of them regardless of whether they have insurance or not.
While the Joint Outreach Center is open to the public, its mission is to help the homeless, providing an option to the emergency room. An average trip to the Queen's ER costs taxpayers $4,000.
Here, as far as coming to this clinic, it's probably only going to cost maybe $100 to $200.
Most of the patients coming in are in need of wound care. After seeing a doctor, additional staff from multiple service providers are on hand to offer housing and help with issues associated with mental illness and addiction.
There's already a lot of people who are homeless in this area, and what we're here to do is to take them off the street. If the police find someone, that really needs the attention, they could just bring them right over.
Dr. Josh Green and Dr. Scott Miskovich both volunteer their time. All other costs of running the clinic are covered by grants, the Queen's Medical Center, HMSA, and Island Hospice. The president of the Chinatown Business and Community Association says she's excited to welcome the clinic to the neighborhood.
So I think it's a bright spot for Chinatown to have a center here so that people can go to, instead of calling the ambulance constantly.
I'm very excited about this location, and I would hope that it would serve as a future blueprint to other neighborhoods and perhaps even other agencies.
HPD tells us it wants to hear from its neighbors about how the project is going. Feel free to give your feedback next door at the HPD substation. In Chinatown, Allison Blair, Hawaii News Now.
Let's go back live now to Halemaumau crater, where you see the plume continuing to come from that lava lake down there that's been lowering. And the warning again, watch out for large explosions in the months to come. We'll be back after a short break.
Aloha mai kākou. It is said that one book, one pen, and one teacher can change the world. Our state's education system suffers from a shortage of qualified kumu. Every school, public and private, faces this issue. Educators are leaving the system faster than they are entering. On average, Hawaii loses 1,100 teachers each year. Is this due to a generation of educators retiring, or the struggles of a career in education? Perhaps it is our high cost of living. Change is needed. The solution is not simple and cannot be solved solely by the government or by one organization or by one sector. It is a challenge that requires community, collective action, and innovation. But we could start today with a simple mahalo, by reaching out to a teacher who positively affected us, by finding a way to bring joy to a teacher in your community. Mahalo e nā kumu.
From Hawaii News Now and your team for severe weather, this is your forecast with Guy Hagi.
The trade winds will be slowing down starting tonight, and they will run rather slow all the way through Friday. That means elevated amounts of haze, not necessarily fog, also a little bit more humid. Now, the fog is expected to stay to our south, though southerly winds not expected to be strong enough to push the fog up and over us, still should remain to our south, but we will likely get locally produced haze, right? From our local, traffic and stuff like that. And now we are seeing just a few showers, mainly for Oahu's windward side. A little damp this evening, but you can see the rest of the state not seeing much rain at all, and those mostly dry conditions are going to continue through the next couple of days, although we are likely to see some afternoon clouds and some afternoon showers. But still, rainfall totals will be expected to be less than 0.3 of an inch, although the windward side of the Big Island still likely to get some overnight windward and Mauka showers. So county by county, we'll see pretty much the same weather pattern. Morning sunshine, afternoon clouds, some afternoon showers, higher humidity levels, a little bit of fog, except of course for the Big Island, where they will still see that sulfur dioxide linger in the air. Surf's going to be dropping in the country tomorrow, but solid energy and better conditions with the lighter winds. In fact, tomorrow morning should be very, very good surf-wise. So again, we're looking at increasing amounts of haze and fog, some afternoon clouds and showers, and the trade wind weather comes back on Saturday.
I have other goals, but I guess in order to get to them, I need to be able to walk.
A triathlete nearly killed in a crash on Tatlas speaks about the new plan to stop drifting. Next on KGMB.
Selected wardrobe for Hawaii News Now anchors provided by Saks Fifth Avenue. Celebrate Nurses and Teachers Appreciation Week in May with our World of Beauty at Saks Fifth Avenue, Waikiki.
Honolulu police now have a new way to punish street racers who drift on city roads. Mayor Kirk Caldwell signed Bill 7 imposing a $2,000 fine and jail time up to a year for those caught drifting. The bill was inspired by a triathlete. January. Police say the driver was drifting and racing.
Cycle to feel safe walking, running, cycling on the roads.
With the stiff from our roadways and prevent what happened to Miss Altman from occurring to anybody else.
Altman suffered broken bones and her right knee was shattered.
Starting this year, University of Hawaii languages In the past, Hawaiian language diplomas have been offered, handing out both diplomas this year. All 10 campuses will be on board by next year. And Colton Wong's GoFundMe campaign to help lava victims has raised nearly $50 so far. And the Hilo native is getting help from his team, the St. Louis Cardinals.
Wow.
They're selling from each ticket will go toward Wong's relief efforts. They've also posted a donation link on the team's official website.
That's a lot of money because a lot of people don't go to the Cardinals.
Way to go, Colton Wong.
Thanks for watching Hawaii News Now at 6, everybody.
In the palm of your hand. Sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza with 5 locations on Oahu.
Happening now at 5, fears of fire and fumes as yet another lava vent opens in Puna.
A 15th fissure has broken out in an area of serious concern. Civil defense officials say it appears to be heading east toward Puna geothermal venture, but the state says there is no imminent danger to the area. The efforts they're taking to mitigate threat.
An explosion sends dark plumes into the sky, while geologists say this may be a sign of more to come.
Steady trade winds continue across much of the state, so the air quality is good except for on the Big Island. However, lighter winds are due in soon, although fog might not be a problem for us. I'll tell you why coming up.
Plus, a remarkable road to recovery.
I had a compound fracture in my arm.
How this triathlete is coming back from a crash and the
geologists say this may be a sign of more to come.
Steady trade winds continue across much of the state.
When you requested that right away?
They said they would get on it, and it's still on the site, and that's why I'm taking this action today.
A response team has been activated, including Big Island Mayor Harry Kim and PGV representatives. The state is also getting input from geothermal experts on the mainland. The state says there is no immediate danger right now, but the movement of the pentane gas has been expedited and should be off-site by tomorrow. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
Okay, thank you very much, Lynn. Well, geologists warned that there could be explosive eruptions at Halema'uma'u crater at Kilauea.
That's after an explosion happened this morning, sending massive plumes of dark ash into the air. Mahea Richardson joins us live at the Hawaii Volcano's National Park with the details. Mahea.
Aloha, Steph and Sean. Yes, I'm here at the overlook of Halema'uma'u crater, and it is safe according to officials. They say there's no danger here, and that's why many areas of the park are still open. Now, behind me, you see a white plume right behind me, and it's been going strong all day today. This has been pretty normal. It's going strong. But earlier today, something really dramatic happened. Now, USGS says at 8:25 this morning, there were some rocks that fell into the lava lake below, and that caused a gas explosion, and then large plumes of dark steam and gas and dust went up into the air, maybe more than 1,000 feet. Measurements haven't been taken yet, but it was really, really quite a sight. Let's hear what some of the officials had to say.
And there's a gas explosion basically when the rocks hit the lava lake, and it's shooting up into this dramatic ash cloud. That's what we saw at 8:30 this morning and a couple other times since then. So it's exciting. It's open.
The explosion this morning was gases from the lava being released and pushing the ash and dust upward. If the lava lake drops below the water table and water mixes with the lava, then we get a steam explosion, and it's just can be orders of magnitude larger.
It's more than we've ever seen. I've been coming up here for, I don't know, decades off and on, and there's never been this kind of action, so it just really feels like something's about to happen.
Again, quite a sight for all of the visitors here. Now, so far, the lava lake has dropped more than 700 feet. And again, if it mixes with the water, it'll cause that violent eruption. But geologists say they don't know when a steam eruption could occur, but they are monitoring it. This was one of the largest events since 2008, and there hasn't been a steam eruption, a violent steam eruption, since the 1920s. Now, again, I'm here at the overlook of Halema'uma'u crater. It is open to visitors. The Park Service says if there is any indication of a steam eruption, one of those bigger, more violent eruptions, they will shut down the park ahead of time. But for now, it is open, and again, it is quite a sight. I'm reporting live from Halema'uma'u crater. Mahea Richardson, Hawaii News Now.
All right, thanks, Mahea. Let's find out more about what causes those explosions at Halema'uma'u.
Yeah, Guy Hockey shows us what happens when the lava lake gets too low, Guy.
Well, it's amazing to see, but obviously it could be very dangerous. Up until all the recent activity, Kilauea's lava lake had been bubbling very, very quietly. But with the lava draining out into the East Rift Zone, the magma column feeding the lava lake has dropped, and that likely helped to form a blockage with the cooling, receding lava, and that allowed pressure to build. And today, with the rock fall breaking that blockage, you get that large plume that happened. But if the magma column drops below the water table, then you can get an even more explosive type of clearance. Think of dropping some water onto a frying pan. But this time, you're talking about rocks, maybe giant boulders, along with steam and ash being expelled. Now, the scientists just aren't sure when or if it will ever happen again. So stay tuned. Here's what else is going on. The prevailing trade winds continue to push the volcanic emissions to the south and southwest of those eruption zones. The heaviest concentration of the sulfur dioxide is this in red. So it's still a dangerous situation for those communities downwind of the eruptions. Now, the rest of the state is actually looking pretty good. The fog plume expected to stay to our south. Even as the winds lighten up tomorrow, the southerly flow is not expected to be strong enough to bring up the fog. However, locally produced haze is likely. So even though the air quality will be worse tomorrow and on Friday, we really aren't expecting fog. The cleaner air is due back on Saturday as the trade winds pick up again. I'll have the rest of the forecast in a couple of minutes.
All right, thank you very much, Guy. And you can go to HawaiiNewsNow.com for more details on the ongoing Kilauea eruption. That's also where you'll find extended interviews along with videos and a slideshow of the lava.
And make sure to stay with us throughout the night on KGMB, KHNL, and K5 for new information on the eruption.
My number one goal is to be able to walk again.
Hit by a speeding car on Tantalus, a Hawaii triathlete shares her painful road to recovery as lawmakers strengthen a law to crack down on reckless drivers.
Also ahead at 5, it's been a rough few weeks for the Hokulea. The latest on those critical repairs and where she's headed next. But before that, let's get a check of traffic with Danielle Tucker.
Major accident right downtown in the intersection of Vineyard and Punch Bowl, affecting folks going eastbound. Vineyard's backing up. And if you use the trek to go up Punch Bowl to the Pali or to the H1 West, it's backing up all the way now on, you can see Baratania on the left of your screen. Extremely slow moving traffic in all directions because of this crash. From City and County of Honolulu's Traffic Management Center, I'm Danielle Tucker. You're watching Hawaii News Now at 5. We'll be back with more after this.
Thank you for joining us here this afternoon. I wanted to announce today that I have taken action to enable a more comprehensive response to the current eruption situation in the East Rift Zone on Hawaii Island. I have directed the Mayor Harry Kim, and the Director of Hawaii Emergency Management to lead a team to plan and take action to mitigate the risk posed by the Puna geothermal facility on Hawaii Island. I do believe that it's very important. As I attended the community meeting the other night, clearly that was the biggest concern expressed by the residents there, the Puna geothermal facility. I would like to emphasize that the facility today is safe. As part of our emergency procedures, the facility has been shut down, and we are monitoring its activity. But we want to be certain that we have the authority to act decisively if necessary. We will be reviewing the existing actions already taken by Puna Geothermal Ventures. The two concerns that we are planning for and working to mitigate is that there is a solvent, flammable solvent that is used in the production of electricity at the plant, pentane, and we want to make sure that we can remove it from the site as quickly as possible. And then the second concern is the geothermal wells themselves, making sure that we can protect the public and prevent a blowout of any of the geothermal wells on the facility. I have issued a supplemental proclamation to enable this to take place. We will be working with Mayor Kim and Tom Travis to lead this team. It would include experts from the Department of Health, Department of Land and Natural Resources. We also are reaching out to national experts if necessary. to mitigate the impact that the facility would pose. Once again, I would like to emphasize that the facility is stable. It is shut down. There is no immediate danger to the community. We are being proactive. We want to ensure that we can take the actions necessary to remove the hazardous materials from the site, and then most importantly, to be prepared to prevent a blowout of the wellhead. I also would like to announce that I just signed a request to President Trump for declaration of a presidential disaster for Hawaii County as part of this eruption and the activities on the East Rift Zone on Hawaii Island. We believe that we will exceed the threshold, and we are working to seek the disaster declaration to ensure that we have access to federal, state, and county resources should we need that as the event progresses. And with that, I'd be happy to take any questions. Yes.
Has PGV been upfront, because you heard it and I was out there, we heard it, that the residents are really concerned and feel like they're not being told and advised properly about the dangers and the risks. I mean, do you feel that PGV is being upfront with everybody about these risks?
I think most importantly, this action is to include PGV as part of this team. We do know that that their involvement in any action taken will be very important. I believe that taking this action and putting Tom Travis and Mayor Harry Kim, to lead the task force would assure the public that we are looking at all the alternatives. We are examining and evaluating the risks to the community, and then most importantly, we will take the appropriate action.
Governor, a 15th fissure opened up pretty close to Puna Geothermal. How soon can you get, allow these risks or the steps that you're taking?
I do think, and I was on the Big Island all of yesterday, and certainly being on the ground there, being able to speak with Mayor Kim and Tom Travis. I traveled out to Leilani Estate Subdivision, was able to tour around some of the existing fissures, and certainly that brought me to the conclusion that we needed to take decisive action, that I wanted to be certain that we had a quality team in charge that would be able to evaluate the risks and mitigating actions independently to determine what would be the most appropriate action. And as I said, we intend to include personnel from Puna Geothermal as part of this team.
So, Governor, the pentane is ready to move. How do you prevent a blowout of the wells? I understand moving the pentane, but what about the wells? How do you secure those?
Well, I mean, I do think, and PGV does have an emergency plan. We are evaluating what that plan is. Again, we also will be reaching out to seek external national experts in geothermal facilities so that we can get an unbiased evaluation of what the potential mitigation actions could be.
Can you share what that plan is, or that emergency plan?
No, right now the focus is really to get this team together. They've actually already been working since this morning. We discussed this yesterday. And certainly they've initiated a number of meetings, and we've been looking at identifying national experts that we would be able to include in the conversation. I don't have the specific emergency plan for PGV, but I do know that Harry and Tom have it, and they've been looking at it and deciding what would be the appropriate actions, what the alternatives to mitigate the risk would be, and then what would be the recommended action. As you said, the vents and the activity is unpredictable in the area. The 15th vent opened. I was on island when the 13th and 12th and 14th had opened, and clearly we went from a period where we thought that there actually was a pause in activity to the 13th, 14th, 15th opening in relatively short order. I think that that's why I believe it's imperative that we take this action. As I said, the team is already working as we speak to identify experts and what the different strategies might be to ensure the safety of that facility.
When you're talking strategies, I know you can't get into specifics because they haven't been determined yet, but are we talking about something internally that they'll do separately to the wells, or are we talking about some diversion that they might try to do with the lava?
No, I think that we've concluded that it's impossible to divert the lava, right? I mean, that's something Pele and Mother Nature will act, and we have to be prepared. I think what we're looking for is we don't know what the timeline is. As you have noted, the fissures have been opening up along that track, and if you project the track of the line of where the fissures are occurring, it definitely, the PGV facility is on that line. So we definitely want to be prepared. We want to mitigate the risk of the pentane fluid there as soon as possible, because that clearly is something that if we move it off-site, we can take action proactively. The issue with the wellheads are different because we can't move those.
How far is the facility from the nearest fissure?
I would guess it's a couple hundred yards. We do have a map here. We can kind of talk through that. I don't know exactly where the wellheads are, but that whole facility is a number of wells that are driven into the ground, and they're in different locations on the site.
Governor, it's been a week now since this has all started last Wednesday, and do you think maybe they should have moved a little bit faster when it came to this PGV and some type of action plan? I mean, the residents were complaining about it to us when we got out there Friday, and maybe some kind of plan to move it sooner?
Certainly, we had had that discussion with PGV, and we asked them to act as quickly as possible. The reason that I took this action is because we were not satisfied that they were acting quickly enough.
So do you think they were acting reckless or irresponsible?
No, I don't think that they were acting reckless or irresponsible. I think the challenge with an eruption and a volcanic activity is that it is unpredictable. Although a number of the early fissures and vents were close to the PGV facility, the subsequent ones started to move away from the facility. And so certainly I thought they might have thought that it wasn't as urgent a need. We always felt that it was an urgent need. We had requested that they move it, remove the fuel as soon as possible. Tuesday or Thursday and Friday of last week, we had already identified that as an issue and had made a request that they move it off-site as soon as possible.
And what was the reaction you got when you requested that right away?
They said they would get on it, and it's still on the site, and that's why I'm taking this action today.
So this action allows you, I guess, to force them or to move it along faster with Harry Kim there?
Right. So this does, the supplemental proclamation that I have issued does allow me to take action regarding private facilities much quicker. Clearly, we would want to work with PGV, and they will be part of this team. But we want to be certain that we have the authority to take whatever action is required to mitigate the risk to the community.
When you talk about the risk, I mean, what is the worst case scenario here? Just because a lot of us don't deal with this kind of thing. I mean, is it the well blowing? Is it the pentane? What is the worst?
I think it's that's the two critical risks: the pentane on site and the lava, or a fissure opening up in the facility, in the wellhead, where the fuel is stored would, clearly ignite the pentane on site. I believe there's 50,000 gallons or so. and that would be a very, very hazardous situation. And again, the wellhead blowing out would be. I think we are working through all of those scenarios, and we'll be examining the best alternatives to assure the health and safety of our community.
So Puna Geothermal, have they estimated like a blast radius if either the pentane or the wellhead blew or blows?
Well, they in their emergency plan, they have various scenarios, and they are looking at different things. You know, I think it's premature to talk about that at this point in time. As I said, Tom Travis and Harry Kim, and I think we are fortunate to have two very, very qualified people on premise and able to step up immediately, familiar with the situation, and I think most importantly, having the leadership and courage to take the action necessary to mitigate the risk.
And just for clarification, so is the state or is the county going to be moving that pentane, or is it?
We are working with PGV to move the pentane. If they are not quick enough, then we could. This proclamation allows me the authority to move it ourselves. You know, we'll be working with PGV, and my understanding is that they've accelerated the removal. We do expect that it would be off-site by the end of tomorrow. So.
Did they say why it's taking so long?
No, you might want to ask them that directly.
Just a quick question on the, you mentioned here the money that's set aside for this, or the costs involved, expected costs, about $3 million for 30 days. But it also says if large-scale air and sea evacuations become necessary, that cost would go up. Are we ready? Are we prepared for large-scale sea and air evacuation? No,
I think then that's the purpose of issuing this proclamation at this time. You know, I also am preparing to elevate General Ken Hara as a dual status commander. General Logan has been working so that we can get access to other federal assets that are here in the island, should that become necessary. You know, I think part of, and when you look at the geography of the island, the challenge is that these fissures are opening on key arteries and highways. And clearly, if we lost two of those, then a large number of those in our community would be isolated, and we would have to find some other way of moving those individuals. You know, just like in the Hanalei situation, Wainiha and Haiena, with the landslides that occurred on Kuhio Highway, clearly the highway was impassable, and we had to use helicopters and other means to get in food, water, and other provisions for that community. So we've begun the planning process to go through, you know, we are evaluating and preparing for all the alternatives. We are preparing alternatives for temporary roads and highways should Highway 130 or 132 become impassable, and, you know, we've identified farm roads and other roads that might be suitable for a temporary bypass or to allow facilities. So the team's challenge, and what I've challenged Tom and Harry to do, is really look at all of those alternatives and begin to prepare plans so that should an event occur and we have to do mass evacuation or others, we will have clear guidance about what would be the best alternative and how to proceed forward.
Governor, I have another question that goes back to PGV. You mentioned scenarios. Can you discuss that more with us? What is the blast radius scenario, or anything else that they shared with you?
You know, I think it's a couple of different things that we are concerned with. Clearly, the pentane is one, and we are evaluated. There has been discussions or estimates that should all of the pentane on site explode, that the blast radius might be as much as a mile, right? Which would be significant impact on the community. You know, the wellhead being destroyed or damaged is an even bigger impact. You know, these wells are drilled very deep, and clearly having an open wellhead directly into the volcano essentially would release a lot of sulfuric dioxide and other hazardous materials into the air, and it would be released until we could take action to close the wellhead. So, we are definitely working. As I said, I want to emphasize that there is no immediate danger on these facilities, that we took action to shut down Puna Geothermal. We are being proactive to ensure that we have clear command to be able to take action when necessary, and then most importantly, creating an independent team of experts that can look at the risk involved, find the alternatives that to mitigate that risk, and then be authorized to implement them.
In the meantime, while this facility is shut down, does this have any impact on the Big Island's power supply?
We have had discussions with HELCO, and they are actually in the Emergency Operations Center every day, and they've informed us that they can continue to operate the rest of the network based on the generating facilities that they have available.
One question. The presidential disaster declaration, you mentioned the threshold.
Yes.
That you believe will exceed it. What is that threshold?
It's $1.9 million, and as you see in our application, we do anticipate for the next month that the cost, direct cost involved would be just under $3 million. We actually, because we reached out to FEMA last Thursday, we have significant crew of people here from FEMA. We have 15 professionals in the state of Hawaii. 5 of them are on Hawaii Island supporting the emergency operations team in the EOC. We have another 10 people here at the Hawaii Emergency Management Center here on Oahu. They have been very involved and very helpful in helping us work through the disaster declaration request and organizing the data that we needed to make the request.
Just within this last month, Kauai saw historic flooding, personal damage, personal loss. Now the Big Island, personal loss. What is your message to these affected residents?
I just want them to know that the state, county, and federal government is committed to keep our communities safe and healthy first and foremost. And the warning points and all of the systems involved are really focused on helping us do that. And then through emergency proclamations, the counties and state government has acted quickly to ensure that we could initiate actions required to mitigate risk, to repair critical facilities, and then most importantly, to try to return to normal as quickly as possible. We will continue to look at what those actions are. State and county actions have led ahead of the emergent federal declarations, because we do know that it's important from the state and county level that we take immediate action as quickly as we can. And then we do lean forward with our federal partners because they can bring a larger array of assets to help state and counties respond. For example, if in that scenario, if we had to do mass air evacuations, we don't have the helicopters or equipment that we would need to execute that. But clearly, we would reach out for PACOM to get access to other Department of Defense helicopters and other equipment that would help us.
Also, thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much. So if you guys want to look at the map, these are all the fissures that have opened, and this is the boundary of Puna Geothermal. So I mean, here's the lineup of what's happening, and this is Puna Geothermal. this last event occurred right here. The lava flowed into Lani Puna. I'm not exactly sure where on the facility the wellhead is, but clearly, you know, the challenge is that the underground network that we don't see, you know, the network of lava tubes and all of the piping that the volcano manages runs through this area. If you look at that East Rift Zone, it runs the whole area and on beyond. So an eruption or a fissure could open anywhere along that rift. And we do monitor seismic activity and earthquakes all along there. And so we want to be able to ensure that we can take action to secure the risk that would be posed. Okay.
Thank you.
Medicines. There's also oral medications to help with allergies and newer biologic agents, injectables that patients can take to help their asthma.
Yeah, how many kids are affected by this? Because I know my son had asthma and we used the nebulizer that seemed to help.
Thousands of kids across the state suffer from asthma. Kids are a little tougher in terms of using the inhaler, so often we use the nebulizer to deliver medications.
And for the elderly as well, that's a good...
Yeah, many of my elderly patients have arthritis and have difficulty manipulating the inhalers, so nebulized medications help.
It is National Asthma and Allergy Awareness Month. Dr. Samuel Evans, thanks so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for all you do to make it a healthier Hawaii.
Thank you.
I really want to do whatever I can to try and help others and to encourage other people to do that too.
She's already a master of the Ivory Keys. Now this internationally acclaimed Hawaii musician has a new focus. What that is next at 5:30.
Beautiful music and a beautiful sight outside to our Yes Cam double rainbow there here in Honolulu. While you may be worried about the fog, Guy Hagi will be back with whether trades will be sticking around to keep our air clear. His full forecast is coming up next.
Aloha mai kākou. It is said that one book, one pen, and one teacher can change the world. Our state's education system suffers from a shortage of qualified kumu. Every school, public and private, faces this issue. Educators are leaving the system faster than they are entering. On average, Hawaii loses 1,100 teachers each year. Is this due to a generation of educators retiring, or the struggles of a career in education? Perhaps it is our high cost of living. Change is needed. The solution is not simple and cannot be solved solely by the government or by one organization or by one sector. It is a challenge that requires community, collective action, and innovation. But we could start today with a simple mahalo, by reaching out to a teacher who positively affected us, by finding a way to bring joy to a teacher in your community. Mahalo e nā kumu.
Back to that breaking news from the Big Island. You're looking at a map of the new evacuation areas issued by Hawaii County Civil Defense. Laili Street is on the western side of Pahoa Kapoho Road.
Yeah, this is a new area now under mandatory evacuation orders. And as we first told you, this is being done as a safety precaution as those huge cracks continue to widen. Of course, we'll bring you any new details as they become available.
Take a look, double rainbow over the Ko'olau right now, right behind Punch Bowl. Well, nice stuff. That means there are a few showers out there. We still have breezy trade winds, but they will ease up tonight, and then we'll get light and variable winds for the next couple of days. So that humidity level likely to go higher for the next couple of days. Now, as far as the rain, we are seeing just a few minor splashes, mainly for windward and Mauka areas. Oahu's got the most rain, but most of the rain is of the light variety. So what had been a very wet last couple of days for the Pahoa area is lightening up. Granted, it's still very cloudy, but notice there's not much in the way of rainfall. Maui County has dried up a lot as well. And like I said, Oahu's catching most of the rain, mainly hanging up along the Ko'olau, slowly drifting to central Oahu and the townside valleys. So a little damp up in Manoa, Palolo, Manoa, and into Nu'uanu. But again, rainfall totals are pretty insignificant. Kauai likely to get some showers for those windward areas tonight as well. But the thing shifts tomorrow. As that weak disturbance moves away, with the lighter winds taking over, we're likely to see some interior showers over the next 36 hours, mainly in the afternoon hours, but you can see the rainfall totals still less than 0.3 of an inch. So things are drying up, although we are expecting some spotty showers in the afternoon tomorrow. And with the light winds, the humidity levels will be rising. There's going to be a little bit of haze, not so much fog from Maui to Kauai, but a locally produced haze will likely build up for the next couple of days. The southerly wind flow not likely strong enough to push up the fog from the south of us. So that's good news. Now, as far as the surf, it's going to be dropping pretty much island-wide. But the good news is, with those light variable winds, it's going to be very, very good early in the morning for northwest and east-facing beaches. But keep in mind, there's also a brown water advisory for Kailua because of all the rain from the last couple of nights flowing out into the ocean. Brown water out there, so stay out. So again, light winds for the next couple of days, some haze for the next couple of days building up along with high humidity levels, afternoon showers, normal trade wind weather due back on Saturday.
A piano prodigy is hitting all the right notes with her passion for philanthropy.
She sure is. Ginny, too, has thrilled audiences worldwide, but her priority now is giving back to those in need. Lisa Kubota introduces us to the YWCA Oahu honoree.
Ginny Tiu discovered the gift of music at an early age. She was just 3.5 years old, living in the Philippines, when her father forgot to lock the piano one day.
I was fascinated by what I heard my dad playing, and I was trying to duplicate it actually, and just looking for the right notes.
With lessons from her father, the child prodigy reached a nationwide audience at age 5, showcasing her skills on The Ed Sullivan Show.
I just remember enjoying it. People a lot of times will ask me whether I was nervous or not. No, I just really loved playing.
Her career took off, and her success led her family to move to America. Ginny traveled the world, performing for 2 U.S. presidents and even appearing in a movie with Elvis Presley.
I had a tutor all my life. I couldn't even go to a regular school because I traveled all the time performing, and I loved it.
These days, Ginny continues to perform at 53 by the Sea and the Moana Surfrider Hotel. While she's grateful that she's able to use her musical talent to bring joy to others, her main focus now is her philanthropic work.
When I see a need, I really can't just not do something or try to do something.
cool story next.
Selected wardrobe for Hawaii News Now anchors provided by Saks Fifth Avenue. Celebrate Nurses and Teachers Appreciation Week in May with our World of Beauty at Saks Fifth Avenue, Waikiki.
You're watching Hawaii News Now on KHNL, your source for breaking news.
Welcome back, everyone. When a Waipahu High School senior graduates this month, she'll already have earned a college degree.
Unbelievable. It's quite an accomplishment considering that she did it while working 2 jobs and raising her young son. Jim Mendoza has the story.
You can get through all the obstacles and barriers if you strive high.
That's what Waipahu High School senior Rovi Ann DePaisa did, but it wasn't easy. She didn't speak English when her family emigrated from the Philippines.
That's when I had a really low self-esteem, and I chose not to speak in any of my classes.
Shyness gave way to gritty determination. She threw herself into schoolwork.
And I realized that education is really important, and that's the only way for us to get a better life.
Throughout high school, Rovi took college courses with Leeward Community College. By December, she had earned an associate's degree, the first high schooler in Hawaii to complete the early college program.
If they were to take, say, English 100, they're fulfilling their high school requirement. At the same time, they're earning college credit.
Rovi did it while holding down 2 jobs and raising her young son.
When I see my son, that's when I realized that I cannot give up now, especially now that I have him.
This month, 12 Waipahu High School seniors will receive associate's degrees. Because the classes are free, early college works especially well for kids facing financial hardships.
And perhaps they don't even dream about going to college because of the financial barriers. And that's the people we're trying to reach.
I was really driven with my dreams on reaching it, so I felt like all the obstacles in my life, I can get through all those.
Rovi will pursue a bachelor's degree in nursing at Chaminade, but her ultimate goal is to be a doctor. Jim Mendoza, Hawaii News Now.
Oh my goodness, such an inspiration.
I know. I mean, the things that she had to overcome, and how impressive is it to have a college degree before you have your high school degree?
Good job to her. All right, we want to take you out live now to some incredible images happening live at the Hawaii Volcano's National Park, where we're seeing that continuous plume of ash above the lava lake. Some have said that it had just taken on a pinkish tinge, a pink color. This is where this morning a rockfall created a bigger plume, and geologists say something like that could happen again, no telling when.
That's right. Again, this is a live look at Halemaumau crater at the summit of Kilauea. Now, if the level of lava reaches the water table, geologists are saying that it could trigger a steam-fueled explosive eruption. They're not saying when or even if that'll happen, but they're saying that is a possibility.
More live reports coming your way on KGMB in 2 minutes, including the latest on that mandatory evacuation at Ala Ili Road.
With the Hawaii News Now mobile app, breaking news is in the palm of your hand. Sponsored by Little Caesars Pizza with 5 locations on Oahu.
Hi, my name is Tina Neal. I'm the scientist in charge at the U.S. Geological Survey's Hawaiian Volcano Observatory. This morning at just about 8 o'clock, we put out a message, a public message, announcing that we may be entering a period of the potential for increased explosive activity at the Kilauea summit. About 15 minutes ago, we had a
Right now it's 6. A new lava outbreak and a push for answers.
Our interpretation is that this is due to a large rock fall down the conduit system to impact the lava lake. That process would then release an explosive burst of ash that traveled, in my estimation, potentially 6,000 or 7,000 feet above the ground surface. And that ash cloud then drifted downwind to the southwest. And I could visually confirm that there was ash falling to the ground. We have geologists in the area looking at the debris, and this will help us interpret exactly what happened and whether or not we are looking at possible involvement of water in these explosions, which is what we are concerned about in terms of the increasing explosivity potential here at the summit.
The other thing that has been happening throughout this time is that the lava lake here at the summit has continued to drain or drop in elevation at a very steady rate. This morning, we put out another public statement noting that as the lava lake reduces in elevation and recedes to within the volcano, there is concern about the eventual intersection of that lava column with the level of the groundwater table below Kilauea's summit. At that time, it is permissive that water will flush into the system of hot rocks that are remained, and we may move into a period of repeated phreatic explosions or steam-driven explosions. This is behavior that it was observed at the volcano during a similar drawdown of a lava lake in 1924. So this public notice that went out this morning was to call attention to that concern and say something about the uncertainties about that process and also the hazards that could be associated with that process, which include far downwind ashfall and near-field ballistic blocks that can be flung out during these explosions. Within an hour or so of putting out that notice, we did have a fairly large explosion from within the evacuated vent or lava column that has been drawing down now for more than a week. And we think, based on field observations that were done immediately, that what happened is there was a small earthquake nearby. It may have prompted a large rock fall deep down into the crater that then prompted an explosion from the remaining lava lake surface. And that's based on looking at the characteristics of the characteristics of the tephra that came out and fell around the rim of the crater. So I think it's our best estimation that this is the first of perhaps more events like that to come. And I think the question that a lot of people want to know is what's next. For the time being, it's too soon to say that we're going to see any cessation of activity in the Lower East Rift Zone, even though there may be a pause. There's still a fair bit of magma right underground that's available to erupt. And based on historic activity in the Lower East Rift, that's certainly possible. And here at the summit, as I said, the prognosis is if the lava column continues to recede, we may move into a period of these steam-driven explosions.
Kuleana Kako.
Kuleana Kako.
Kuleana Kako.
Kuleana Kako.
Hawaiian Idol, Junior Hawaiian Idol, KB Extreme, and the Salvation Army are looking for your help in our Kuleana Kako Hawaiian Idol Gives Back donation campaign.
During the week of May 5th to May 12th, we are asking our Hawaiian Idol Ohana and the Big Island community to come together and drop off donations at KB Extreme during our normal business hours from 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. to help the displaced families of the affected areas.
Items that are needed are non-perishable foods like canned items, water, toilet paper, soap and personal items, and cash donations will be accepted directly at KB Extreme. Please ask for a manager to make your monetary donations to the Salvation Army.
If you have any questions, give me a call at 808-217-7535 or KB Extreme at 808-326-2695. That's 808-326-BOLD.
It's our time to step up to the plate and take the stage.
Based off the Department of Transportation's what they consider response guides, they say that pentane and gasoline both do not have a mandatory evacuation or isolation zone. But out of an abundance of caution, civil defense officials tell us that they've established that as a 1 mile radius around Puna geothermal venture. And they say that they have moved again any remaining pentane on site within that area. In fact, we're taking a look now at one of those pentane trucks. You can see it clearly labeled, clearly marked here, as it is making its way now from the PGV site to Kea'au, where it will be stored at Shipman Industrial. Now, just how much pentane they're going to be able to move before the end of the day today is unclear, but we do know that they're moving as quickly as possible because of their concern, this abundance of wanting to make sure that everyone in the area stays safe. Reporting live from Pahoa, Mileka Lincoln, Hawaii News Now.
Mileka, thank you. And again, this is why people are so concerned. The map and video show just how close the fissures are to the Puna geothermal venture property. Governor Ige's supplemental emergency proclamation today gives the state the power to address potential safety hazards from private facilities, including PGV. He says they weren't acting fast enough.
Thursday and Friday of last week, we had already identified that as an issue and had made a request that they move it off-site as soon as possible.
And what was the reaction you got when you requested that right away?
They said they would get on it, and it's still on the site, and that's why I'm taking this action today.
Now, the governor says the declaration allows him to take control of operations. He has formed a response team, which includes PGV employees and Mayor Harry Kim. He also says the state is consulting with geothermal experts in other states to get some advice.
Now back to that thick column of ash that rose from Halemaumau this morning, went as high as about 6,000 feet. Experts say it was likely caused by a rock fall. Hawaii Richardson was there at the overlook and joins us live now. It looks like